you decided to start venturing into the e-commerce business, but you don't know where to sell your goods? Well, let's explain the benefits and the downsides of having your own website versus using services like Amazon FBA. Let's go. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the barrier to entry. With Amazon, it is actually very, very high. They have this due to preventing scams. But usually the bigger the company, the more hoops you have to jump through. So sometimes you need to set up a company remotely yourself, or you need to physically be living somewhere with a lot of paperwork just to get started. You have to jump through many interviews with the Amazon team so that they can actually validate your business and make sure you're not trying to scam people. If your product is not unique, you will have fierce competition, especially with the pricing. And it is also a huge pain to get in touch with their customer service to solve any issues with certifications or selling in certain countries. But if you decide to go on your website, it is under your terms and usually relatively easy to set up a Shopify, WooCommerce, or other stores. However, you will need to pay for the domain, the hosting, as well as the design if you aren't a software backend coder. The downside is that the stability of your website depends on your website provider. So it may face some issues unlike Amazon, especially if you always need your store to be running. Now, when it comes to the shipping, Amazon has pretty much all the channels covered. They are there and it's really a one-stop shop for you. They also offer return shipping to customers, and they can offer the shipping to arrive very fast, usually within 1 to 5 days. Note that your profit margins will be cut greatly because you are using their service. Whereas if you were to use your website, you will have to set up the shipping channel yourself, and it won't be as cheap as Amazon's. In rare cases, it may be cheaper for the shipping itself, but if you are an Amazon associate and they know it's a very big company, the shipping companies will give you a very attractive pricing when it comes to shipping. You will also have to deal with the return products yourself. There's no like one-stop shop where you can just send it back to the Amazon warehouse. If you are doing it on your own website, you're going to have to find your own warehouse or your house in some cases. However, with this being said, you will have more profit margins on your side, but more problems that will come that you will have to solve too. So now let's talk about marketing and getting customer acquisition. When it comes to Amazon, it is difficult to stand out if you are not unique. If you are just a copy and paste product, it is very hard. However, there are established channels and paid promotions to help you be ranked inside Amazon. Also, if you have a trusted review process, it is usually easy to get a steady flow of customers if you have a good product with good reviews. If you're to sell on a website independently, it's all on you, man. It's harder to get strangers to trust your website over Amazon because they don't know who you are and they're going to your website for their first time. And you most likely need paid advertisement just to get started if you don't have an organic reach. Customers may not be so steady and predictable unless you have a solid marketing strategy. Unlike for Amazon, it can be pretty predictable after a certain amount of time. Now let's go into the profits of having both. So on Amazon, it is limited, but of course it's still possible. According to some of my colleagues that are deep in the business, expect about 10 to 20% profit per product after all the fees of storage, packing, shipping is accounted for. You can't control the price for certain products as someone else may bid lower and have the pricing on Amazon cheaper than yours. If Amazon also sees that your product is trending, there is a chance that they can create a basic version and they may drown out your product with their version of your product and they will promote their version over yours. That has happened. Now the upside is that the volume is usually a lot higher. You can get a lot more customers on the Amazon platform because it's trusted. Disputes are not handled by you, but by Amazon, and can be a hit or miss for the buyer or seller as long as you have enough proof. But if you want to do this on your own website, you have more control of your pricing, have more flexibility with the profit margin, 30 to 40% more. And this depends on the services and the product you provide, of course. If you advertise correctly, the people may not go to your website and price check your item, unlike Amazon where they might find comparables. They might have the impulse to buy or are a fan of what you're selling, so they won't be comparing its prices as much as Amazon. Many get less volume as compared to Amazon, but you usually also get to handle the disputes yourself as the website owner versus having a third party handle the disputes. So if you're an honest business person and you can prove everything, you can usually handle everything yourself. Sometimes people are very smart with scams and they know exactly how to respond on Amazon so that they win, even though if they're scamming you. Now, in some cases, your payment processor may be the third party to be able to protect the buyer and consumer, which makes sense because you can't have too much power, even if you're an honest person, because sometimes you are at fault. But usually, if you are the person that decides that this buyer is honest or dishonest, like they try to replace the product and return it to you with a fake product, you can usually win the case pretty easily, unlike signing up for other platforms where you lose everything and you take it as a business lesson. Take this from me personally. So overall, here's the breakdown of each. If I had to choose, I would manually start through word of mouth with my friends and family and try to build my website or even a free WordPress website if you don't want to spend money on a hosting or domain, instead of having my business suddenly shut down because there's a new regulation that affects my kind of products, or a new regulation comes out in a country that would have an immediate effect on my products, because Amazon is usually very quick to react. And these things are typically outside of your control. For example, if you're a Chinese citizen who was selling on Amazon, I'm sure you heard of the exodus that happened 1 or 2 years ago where they banned a lot of Chinese sellers on Amazon. So it can definitely affect your bottom line if you don't have your own website. Now, this isn't a scare tactic to use those platforms. You can definitely try if you don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the logistics, which Amazon will handle for you. If you do want to make your own e-commerce website and you want to know exactly what elements are needed for it to be up and running, check this video right here.